its importance, why we study, or why we indulge in looking at education. Okay? So
Okay,
anybody?
now.
Anybody who is going to give some kind of view of what is a perspective?
Okay, Padok, I want to start by
Sige,
saying, okay.
Bigel.
I think perspective is your personal point of view or your particular attitude towards something. And if you have that certain kind of view, it's also the way you approach life, it's the way you look at life. And then in other sense, like in science, perspective is the accurate point of view or ability to see objectively. And then it's also a particular way of considering something, and it's also a way to compare something to other things that it can be accurately and fairly judged. So it's not just one sided. You see it there, and then you have to compare it to other things so that you can see its value or its worth. Like you consider things in relation to one another accurately and fairly. And so our perspective depends on our experience and personality also. Like that's it, dog.
Very good. Very good discussion of what is perspective. Okay. Any other else?
Sir, ako po.
Oh,
Sige, Ma'am
Ederlin.
Ederlyn, go,
Okay,
Ma'am.
Idolin.
Ederlin. A
So,
beautiful Ederlin. Okay.
thanks, sir. Okay, so in my point of view, so perspective is a bundle of thoughts. So it's either good or bad that you acquire from your experiences, from your cultural beliefs, from our philosophical beliefs that we are learned from the school or any institutions that influence our work, okay,
Yes.
and our personal development. So it's like a collection of your thoughts and opinions and beliefs.
So does it mean it's we are a product of our perspective?
Yeah, if we learn
Yes,
a
I
lot
think,
from
yes.
Dr. Aquino, that can also influence our perspective that we can apply professionally and personally.
Yes.
Yes, and I
Mm.
also agree that all of the things that we learn from our lessons that we can apply. So we can judge our own perspective based on the experience that we have learned from our professor, like Dr. Aquino. He always like to share to us his experience on managing, on leadership, and then so we can have our own perspective. So we can have a standard for our perspective based on the experience, and then we can have a logical perspective, and we can have a kind of judgment that is truly what you call this one was truly tested and proven.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we do other people influence our perspective?
Yes, I think, ma'am.
Um, yeah. I think
Yes,
it's
ma'am.
yeah. What's after? Yes, I think it can influence. For example, your perspective can also influence because I can have a second thought. Is my
Yes.
perspective correct, or will I agree with you or not?
Yes. So we'll be open to other views and then we will see the bigger picture, right?
Yeah.
Yes, definitely, definitely.
So that's why sabi nila or perspective is a narration of our attitudes, our beliefs
Yes.
about an event, person or place based on our own experiences like what you have mentioned a while back, based on our cultural heritages, our physical traits, and of course the things that we see around, the things that we hear. So that would shape totally our perspective towards something.
Yeah, and you can also identify what is your purpose in life through looking at your perspective.
Definitely, yes. His perspective in life. And that's also the way that you're going to live your life because of your perspective.
Yeah.
Is perspective synonymous with purpose? No,
Yes.
they're just correlated.
Right, anonymous. In
Yeah,
Filipino, it's pananaw.
there's actually a thin line that separates the perspective and purposes. Definitely, there's a difference.
Interpretation.
Yes. Yeah,
Simply,
yeah,
Moving
yeah.
on.
yeah.
Come on.
Okay. As a teacher, before you are going to solve for something, find solution problem. Look first the different things around you and everything. So I think perspective is also that. Like what Dr. Doing with us. He's trying to just, you know, motivate us or us to have a good perspective, especially with dealing with education of humanity and on in the future. So I think like that.
Yan, si Ma'am Mary Jane nagre-raise ng hand. Yes,
Yes, Ma'am
Hello,
Mary
good morning,
Jane.
everyone. Nice to
nagre-raise
be
hand.
here. Good morning,
Open
Doc.
lang yan, Ma'am Mary Jane.
Yes, po, good morning po. So for me, perspective refers to the way we see or we view uh, the different things around us. So it can be
Yes.
influenced our experience,
Mm,
our own beliefs, our tradition also influence our perspective. So when it comes to education, this perspective for me, since I'm already more than 2 decades in the service, it is being influenced by my experience.
that's
Yes, sir. That's thank you.
Thank you, Ma'am Mary
Si
Jane.
Ma'am Ses po. Okay, Ma'am
Si Ma'am
Ses. Go,
Celeste.
ma'am. The floor is yours.
Hello po, good morning po, Doc Alfredo
Hello.
and classmates. So,
Yeah.
Morning, ma'am.
when once I encountered the word perspective, my idea is all about its mindset, principle,
Yes.
Yeah.
and beliefs.
Mindset. Mm,
But when we speak of perspective, since for me it is all about mindset, principle, and the other one is belief or beliefs, we should not be close-minded when it comes to uh, the our colleagues' perspective too, because from that we can learn something. We can learn a lot. So
yes.
we should be open-minded to the other person's perspective, especially when we know that it is very essential or educational or very informative. And like
Yes.
what Ma'am Michelle told or shared earlier, we our perspective can be affected by others' perspective, but it is up to us on how we are going to realize that perspective, on how we are going to utilize that perspective in our in a very good way or in the best way that we could utilize that. Thank you po.
Thank you,
Okay,
ma'am.
may I add po?
Yes, Ma'am Normalisa.
Yes, just like what what's that? Mom said, if you have a bad or negative perspective in life, it affects everything and everyone around us. If you think negatively, ah, you can find yourself constantly thinking negative too. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Thank
So
you.
True,
Thank you
true.
very
in
much,
more
ma'am.
our
Yes,
relationship with
ma'am.
others. That's it.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir,
Yes,
sir,
ma'am. Normally, so I agree with that. That's why we should always choose those persons that we will be with,
Yeah, we'll be
or we
surrounded
will
with.
be around. Yes, we will be surrounded with.
Yes po.
okay, Ma'am Tess.
Mhm.
Yes, Ma'am Tess.
Uh,
Sir, may share pa po si Ma'am Tess.
Okay,
Yes,
come
Ma'am
on.
Tess.
okay, good morning, everyone.
Good morning,
For
ma'am.
me, as a teacher, our perspective directly impacts students' emotions and their learning
Wow.
because emotions are contagious. And being
True.
able to learn important things in life, and we all need to be able to learn to be able to do anything new and to function throughout our life. That's that's my perspective.
Yes,
Okay, thank
ma'am.
you,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Yes, sir, Ron. Yes, sir, Ron.
Okay, thank you po. I do really agree to all the things that you have said. Perspective. It's all about our belief. It's all about
Yes.
something like that. It's all about opinion. Is how you know your perspective shows to one another how we're going to accept it is like a best mechanism for us to know and to learn. And also like what Mom Marites said, is all about perceive is all about emotions that we know that we have. What's other opinions? So in our life we have our different kinds of views. So others' opinions, we have our opinions, also other opinions. Those are perspective, and we need to agree those opinions. And based on those opinions, we are also connected with our emotions. That is correct. So I do really agree all of your comments regarding on perspective.
Thank you very much, sir. Yes, Ma'am Tasby. Go, Ma'am.
Good morning po, Doc
Yes, good
Alfredo. Good
morning.
morning, everyone.
Okay.
When we say someone has perspective po, he or she has a sensible outlook in life or a point of view or ability to understand what is important and what is isn't important po. So I am also agree with my classmates po. Thank you po.
Thank you very
Okay.
much. Thank you very much for your sharing.
Very
And
good. You can conduct your own class, and that is really open university. And we are talking distance education because even without the teacher, even without the faculty or the professor, you can discuss the lessons very well.
Thank you,
Okay, and
Doc.
that is
thank you, Doc.
ideal. That's ideal of what we
Yes.
call open learning and distance education.
Yes. So literally open.
Yes, just
Yeah,
just be
literally
open-minded.
we are open and we are discussing through distance.
Yes.
And in distance education, the real distance education is that there is physical distance or physical absence between the learner and the teacher. And that is the best idea of what we call distance education. Because your modules, your lessons are self contained, and they are what we call stand-alone materials, meaning to say that a student, when given the materials, can study by herself or himself, even without the teacher. Okay, that is good because we are really in open learning and distance education. I am here only to facilitate, to guide, and to elaborate, to describe, and to give further assistance and information to the students so that the students can learn the right things that should be learned in the lesson. Okay?
Yes,
In
Doc.
your self learning, you may not be aware that what you are doing is right or wrong. However, in open learning, especially when we practice distance education, okay, there's nothing bad or good. Okay, but let us think positively. When we think positively, we look at avenues, we look at other alternatives by which we can proceed with our learning and still attain the goals and objectives of the lesson or the course or the program which we are involved in. Okay, we always accept negativism, but we can refute negative ideas. We refute negative ideas with better ideas. And these are ideas coming from observation, like what we call empiricism. When we talk about empiricism, we learn because we experience. We experience the ideas. We experience the actions. We experience the performance. Okay, that is empiricism. Okay, and it's not only empiricism. There are so many approaches, and we are confused. Maybe because we have what we call the philosophy of education, the basics, and from the basics we have what we call the different theories of education as far as the basic philosophy is concerned. And from these theories, we can see the perspective. And when we see the perspective, it is a picture that we see. It's a point that we see when we are in a position. We must have to describe our position so that we will be accurate. Okay? If we will not describe where we see the picture, then we may not be accurate. But it is substantial enough that you can describe the picture, that you can describe the situation. Okay? Because in perspective, you must have to describe the length, you must have to describe the depths, you must have to describe the sides of how they look and how they are arranged. Okay, remember that. How the sides, okay, are arranged in accordance to their dimensions, and how are these related to the other objects in your picture. Because in your picture, you might see other things besides the subject matter that you are looking at. Okay. And this depend upon your position. Mean to say, literally, when you see a picture, are you looking at the picture? Are you looking at a scene? Are you looking at a situation while standing, while sitting, or while lying down or sleeping, something like that? Or you might see the picture when you are also in action. Okay? This will affect the description of your picture. In the technical drawing, especially from engineers, okay, they always have we call the vanishing points or the standing point. The standing point where the viewer stands. Vanishing point are those projections from the finite to the infinite. Okay? From the finite place where you are in, you are going to project some lines. Okay? So many lines. And then you can describe the lines by looking at the relationship of the figure with other figures. You cannot describe wholly the picture without the description of the other figures. There must be some kind of a description between the picture that you see and the picture that you perceive and how these are related with the other pictures in the environment or the neighborhood. Okay. Simply put, you are all right. You have all the understanding of what is a perspective. It's a point of view or a viewpoint. Okay? It is how you look at a certain phenomenon, how you look at it. But this depend upon your standing, where you stand. Okay, so uh, some people may ask, "What is your background? What is your experience? Where are you studying at? Are you standing there as a teacher? Are you standing there as an educator? Or you are standing there as only as a spectator, as the picture we call for it?" Okay. So there is something important also where the point of view is coming from. The point of view of a farmer, a point of view of a layman, a point of view of a lay person, an ordinary person, a learned person, educated person, a professional, or an expert. There might be differences, but commonly there's that picture. It's common. How we describe it only depends upon where we stand. Literally, where you stand when you see the picture. Okay, are there some kind of blurred or hazy things that hinder you from looking at the real picture? Are you really describing the picture, say, objectively and maybe accurately? Somebody spoke about objective, okay? Objectively. When you talk about objective, you mean to say that there is something in your mind that relates to the picture, okay? How you see the picture in your thinking, because your thinking also affects the way you look at things, the way you look at pictures. You will go back to the basics. When we go back to the basics first, let us look at philosophy. Okay? Philosophy is composed of several branches. And we discussed already what is philosophy. Okay? Number one is metaphysics. Okay, remember metaphysics. Okay. What is existence? What is out there? Okay? What is out there? Okay. How do you look at things? What is out there in front of you, near you, or what affects you? Okay? You must know what is there. Okay? And you must answer what is existence? Why do we exist in this world? Why do things exist in this world? Are these only perceptions? You go back to your perspectives. Are these only perceptions or what we call products of the mind? Okay. Some philosophers say that there's nothing real in this world except in our mind. Very philosophic, huh? Philosophic. There's nothing existing except what is in our mind. So, if I don't know, I don't have in your mind, in my mind, that you are my students, then you're just maybe you're just pictures there. Or I do not see anything anymore because I do not perceive. Huh? I do not see. I do not see things as they are. Okay. So what is reality? What is existence? That is the metaphysics. When we look at education and we look at perspectives, what is out there? What is existing? Are we looking at a school? Are we looking at a schoolhouse? Are we looking at a classroom? Are we looking at teachers and pupils? Are we looking at interactions or actions between the teachers and the pupils? Or still going deep? Okay. What is it that they are talking about? Hmm? What is it? Why are they there? And then if we perceive that there are standards, that there are things to be done, that there are things to be complied with, that there are certain things that we must do, okay, we ask again, what is quality? What is quality? What is the reality of quality? Existence of quality. Quality is abstract. Uh, it might be an abstract thing, quality. But if you look at quality on physical things, that is another. Okay? Because that is where you stand. Where are you standing? What are your experiences? Okay? What are your observations? What are again you look at philosophy again. What are your values? Okay? If you have the knowledge, you study the knowledge, okay? How do you know that you know the knowledge? Huh? What is the measure? Do you have your measure? How do you know that you know? Hmm? Okay. How do you know that you know this old man, Dr. Aquino? Yeah? How do you know that you know your classmates? Can you reason? Can you have logic? Can you have a chronological presentation, a timeline presentation, graphical presentation, pictorial presentation, last year's perspective, so that you will know that you know? Okay. We will again go back to several things later on because these are mostly interrelated. And so you go back to values, your ethics, your values. What is good and what is bad? And who says what is good and what is bad? Okay. Is it your society? Is it your group? Is it your family? Who says something is good, something is bad? Okay. Are these perceived in the mind alone? Are these coming from other people? What is their perspective of what is good and what is bad? And think, when we look at perspectives and we look at theories, when you look at the basics of philosophy, there's no absolute right and there's no absolute wrong. Okay? Remember that. There's no absolute wrong, there's no absolute right. Everything that we do, there is a reason. Okay? Because we are a reasoning man. we have feelings, we have brains, we have our intelligence. And so, who will judge us? And how will we judge ourselves? Okay. So you go back to John Locke again, you look at covenant, and you may agree with John Locke that there are standards of performance, standards of character, standards of traits, okay, that are acceptable. I am talking about what is acceptable. I am not talking what is bad and what is wrong. What is acceptable? Maybe what is acceptable to the Americans is bad to the Filipinos. Okay? Uh, Things differ among cultures. Things differ among peoples. Racism, sexism, okay? And all the discriminative values. Why we do discriminate? When we look at things, when we perceive things, we discriminate already. There is already discrimination because we look at a picture or we look at a certain thing as we perceive it, we might appreciate it. We might not uh, like it. So there is already discrimination. And in discrimination, okay, it will take a long process in order that we can discriminate. Okay? It is not that we can say that something is wrong or something is bad at once. Okay? Sometimes it takes a lifetime to judge what is right and what is wrong. Okay? Actually, or realistically, who are the people to judge? These are the still people. They are still human beings. Uh,
Nawala si sir.
Wala si Doc.
Hello, Doc.
Humina yata ang internet ni Doc.
Ayan, baka nag-post.
Ito si
Ayan.
Doc. Oo.
back. Very good. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Doc.
Uh, as far as we are discussing, you can ask questions so that we can clarify things. I am very happy there are 8 others who are joining us. Yes, ask questions. Come on.
Yeah, not a question, Doc, but based from your discussion and based from the definition of perspective a while back, would it mean that perspective is the holistic perception or the holistic understanding or discernment of something, while point of view would just be a perception or understanding on one point? So that would be the difference of perspective and point of view. Is that right, Doc?
Yes, very good question, Lolita, Ma'am Lolita. A perception is just a representation of what we see, what we understand. Okay? So it's just a representation. It might not be the real thing. It might not be accurate. Okay? So it depends upon how we see, how we read, and how we understand the situation. So it is not complete. It's not a complete thing. Okay? It is difficult to perceive something that is complete. Okay? We cannot see the backside. We cannot see the underside. We cannot see the rooftop immediately where we are situated. So when you are situated in the street, maybe, and you look at buses, cranes, so forth and so on, maybe you can look at the front side. You can look at one side, not the two sides immediately. You cannot see the back side. You cannot see the underside. You cannot see the top side. Okay, there are certain things missing in the perspectives. Okay, we cannot completely show the whole picture, so it's not complete, Ma'am Lolita. It depends upon where you stand, and it depends upon your experience. It depends upon your learning, your past. How do you perceive things? How do you know that you know? Okay. What are your values? Okay. What are your ethics? And can you consistently follow a logic of describing what you see? Can you describe chronologically, sequentially? Do you have an organized thinking? Do you have a structure? Again, in thinking, you must have some kind of tools, and in using these tools, you must have to be accurate because you are following some kind of systems of thinking. And if you follow systems of thinking, you follow the order, you follow the structure, you follow the organization. Where do you begin? Where do you end? Okay. These are the things that you must see in perspectives. Okay. So in perspectives, as we look at pictures, as we look at representations, we do not depend on ourselves alone. We see or we try to understand how other people look at the picture. Say, for example, ask somebody, how do you look at that picture? The way I look at it is like this, and then you describe. Then you ask the other people, how do you look at the picture? The same representation, or the same phenomenon, the same case. It might be different. So the other people might look at it differently. So we must have to understand that they look at the picture in a different way because they are differently situated, or they are looking at it on another side. Okay? They might be looking on the negative side, they might be looking on the positive side. But my advice is that we always look at the positive side. We must have to be positivist. We must have to be positive people. In positivist orientation, especially in research, you depend on available data and information, okay, because these are existing. Okay. You do not invent. You do not invent data and information. Maybe other people might invent even if they do not see the picture. Okay, they might even imagine. Okay, so there is a difference between the completeness of the picture of how you see it and how the other people see it. If we consider ourselves to be humans, the way we see things, we are not complete. Meaning to say that we cannot see the picture completely because we are human beings. We are not that supernatural, which can look at the situation or the picture completely. But that is a very good question, Lolita, Ma'am Lolita. Okay, uh,
So
that's
that
why we read books, we read articles, we listen. That is a very good attitude. We listen. We give chances for others to explain. Okay? We give chances for others to describe, uh, so that we will learn from them also. Okay? We do not just depend on ourselves. Even if we are an old man or if we are a senior citizen, we still listen to children.
True. True. True.
The children's point of view is different.
True. Sometimes
That's
it's
correct, sir. That's correct, bro.
yeah.
Learning.
Sometimes it opens our minds like, oh, this is
Yeah,
real, this is new.
that's
Is
learning.
how you see it. Oh my goodness, I'm mistaken. Okay, I'm looking at it as like this and like that, and the child might be seeing it at another way,
True.
and you will say, "Oh, wonderful, very wise." Huh? The child might be wiser than you.
Agree. Yes.
Okay.
So I just want to share because I have some apprehensions after everybody has shared. I have some kind of like maybe this is the improvement of my the way I see perspectives. So I see perspective as a part of a whole, and
Yeah.
it's evolving because what my position now might be different in 3 years from now, like that.
Yeah.
So it's evolving, and it's a perspective is variable because it can people or the physical surrounding people, the others can influence our perspective. And perspective is amoral because it's neither good or bad because there's no standard. And lastly, I can say that one's perspective is dangerous.
Dangerous. How dangerous
Yes.
is
It
dangerous?
is dangerous if you cannot give any reason, if you cannot give the logic of how you see things.
Yes.
But you must have to describe things based on an organized way, structured way, and it is supported by reason, supported by logic. And if it is not supported by your experience, you can always quote people. You can always look at the sides of other people. You will review uh, your research. Say, for example, how do you know things? How do you accept things that are true? Okay. Say, for example, an idea comes to you. How do you know that idea is true? How do you know that idea is helpful to you? How do you know that idea is good? See, it's harmful, it's negative, it's positive. What are these? How do you know things? Okay. In terms of research, we are deviating a little from metaphysics and epistemology. Okay. Because in research is another one because it is based on science, the real science. Research is a real science because the study is systematic and it is based on empiricism, observation. It is based on facts. It is based on information. And how do you know things? First, how do you know things? When you receive an information, how do you know that that is true? Okay.
We need to prove.
Uh, of course, that is the role of your research. Why? It is not that you will accept immediately. Huh?
You need to analyze and interpret.
Especially those people who are being scammed. Huh? There are many people, even professionals, doctors or other lawyers. Huh? They are even victims of scam. Hmm? Why? Uh, why are they victims? Huh? Because they are not asking questions. They are not curious enough. What is curiosity? Huh? Curiosity is not bad. Huh? Huh? Maybe some people will say you are very curious, but curiosity is not bad per se. Okay? No. Curiosity is a value. Curiosity is something that is good. Mm. And curiosity is a part of learning. It's a part of learning process. When you are curious, uh, you are curious because uh, you want to learn things. Meaning to say that you do not accept immediately what are things presented to you or what are the things that are in front of you. Say, for example, the perspective of another person. Do you accept immediately the perspective of another person? You must have to be curious. Where are you standing at? Where did you view it? What time did you view it? Say, for example, is it morning? Is it afternoon? Or what is the year? If it's already how many years passed? Okay. So number one, when you want to know things is what they call learning things by tenacity. Tenacity means that things happen every time as expected. It is expected that things will happen. Okay. It's like Peter's principle. Peter's principle, uh, things will happen because you think that these things will happen.
True.
Okay.
So it means, Doc, that every time if you are going to practice the thinking that one event will happen, it will definitely happen. It's like in Peter's principle, because sometimes, Doc, I experience that. For example, I always think that uh I can I can finish, or I can finish my studies within within I'm this trying year. to think that uh I can accomplish a
Task.
specific for the day. It's just repeating on my mind.
Oh, yes, but you see, there are variables in learning by tenacity. Okay. There are variables because learning by tenacity is not always right. It's not always correct. It's not always accurate. Okay. Say, for example, comes June, comes July, there will be rain. There will always be rain. There, anytime in the Philippines, when July or August comes, there will be rain. And if there will be rain, there will be flood. Huh? These are the things that you can observe by tenacity. And you will believe that when a person says, by July, mid-July, or by August, there will be rains in Manila, there will be floods in Manila. Okay? And you will believe him because it always happened. Okay? In your lifetime, it always happened in your lifetime. That is by tenacity. Okay. The other one is by authority. Do not believe Dr. Aquino because he is an authority.
But it's
Okay.
proven. But it's proven.
We always believe that the police are doing their work. So when they come and perform their duties, okay, we believe them because they are authorities. Okay? If they are not police officers, we will not believe them.
True.
Huh? But if they are police officers, we believe them. If they conduct some kind of arrest, conduct some kind of raid or investigation, okay, we believe them because they are officers. Oh,
Doc, can I ask question, Doc?
yes, very good.
I don't know if it's related, but actually it's related about perspective. Actually, Doc, I have friends, like, I don't know if he's an atheist, because in Highland, we live in a Buddhist country, right, Doc? And then we are Catholics, right, Doc? So I have this, like a year ago, a conversation with this friend, like my co-teacher po. And then where we're talking about the scriptures of the Catholic and then the Buddhist like practice po. So my question is, because he believes that he is an atheist, he don't believe in God or in Buddhist like religion. I'm asking po if reading scriptures will help us create a secure foundation on which we base on our perspective po. Like, I mean, reading scriptures help us to create a secure foundation on which to base our own perspective.
In fact, Ma'am Charlotte, I have only little readings on Buddhism.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Kami din, Doc.
Oh, yes. But the way I read it, they do not believe in one God, but they believe in virtue. They believe in something what is good. And they do not believe that there is a supreme being. They have only Buddha as their guide. Huh? But they do not believe in supreme beings. They believe in something that is good that is done by other people. Okay. I think I need more readings about Buddhism. Okay. But you know more about Buddhism. In fact, maybe I'm well versed more on Islam. Islam because we have most people in the Philippines who are Muslims. Okay. And they also believe in one God, monotheistic.
Notice.
They believe in one God, as we Christians also believe in one God. And they have what they call the four pillars of Islam. What are the four pillars of Islam? You ask anybody who profess to be an Islam and who to profess to be a Muslim, and if he cannot give you the pillars of Islam, he is not a true Muslim. Number one is that the Muslim believes in one God also. That's number one. That is one supreme being. He believes in the guidance of one God. Okay. And then another practice or pillar of Islam is praying to God, and they pray 5 times a day. Okay. And they always pray towards the east because they believe that Muhammad and other prophets uh, say that Allah that came arose from the eastern part of the world. So they always pray before the sun. Okay, where the sun is. Okay, and they pray 5 times a day. And the way they pray, that's another thing. Uh, they have their own prayers, their recitation, they have their own rosaries. Okay. And the third is that they must have to practice what we call the sakat. Sakat means that they must have to help the poor. Okay. That is also Christian, very much Christian. We must have to help the poor. But selectively, discriminatively, we must have to help the poor. We must not help the poor as because they are poor. We must have to help the poor because they need something, and if they need something, they must also do something if they are able. If they are able, we must have to help them find their own. Okay. Say, for example, the parable of the fishermen. Okay.
Yes.
You gather the fishermen and tell them, okay, tell them that we cannot give them the fish every day. Okay. But we can give them the methods, the things that they can use, okay, the skills, the knowledge that they can use in order to fish every day. Okay, that is sakat. Okay, and then the most important among the Muslims is to at least once in a lifetime, at least in their
Pilgrimage,
lifetime, they must go to Mecca
pilgrimage to Mecca.
for a pilgrimage if they have the means. Remember all of this. The Islam practices that if you are an able man, if you are not an able man, you are disabled, okay, you are a PWD, there are certain exemptions. There are certain exceptions. Because how can you practice things if you are disabled? Okay, and these are the things that Muslims believe in. Okay, and these are very much Christian. Okay, the other Christian way is the golden rule, and that is also Confucianism. Okay,
Do what you
if
want
you are
others.
practicing the teachings of Confucius, you will always practice the golden rule. And the golden rule is Christian also. So who is ahead? Is it Confucius or is it Jesus Christ?
Jesus Christ.
And who is ahead? The Islam, the Muslims, or the Christians? Okay. And these are all adopted by these religions. The golden rule. The extreme of golden rule which is accepted by is no longer golden. It is practiced by the Islam, the fundamentalists, the fundamentalist Islam, the fundamentalist Muslims is a tooth for a tooth. Huh?
Revenge.
Huh? Say, for example, uh, they practice what is rido, they practice what is getting back at anybody who has violated your right. You have the right to get back. Okay? Meaning to say that if you take one life from one family, okay, the other family will also take one life from you, from your family. Tooth for a tooth, nail for a nail. Huh? So that is not really a golden rule. Okay? It is practicing only, I don't know if it's revenge. Huh? That is what is that they do. The fundamentalists. The fundamentalists are different from the moderates and from the other extremist Islam practitioners. It's like Christianity. The Christianity, we have the fundamentalist Christians who practice to the extreme on the rightists, and on the left also are also liberal Christians. Okay, liberal democracies, liberal socialists. Okay? That is connected with your perspective of education, because where do you stand at a certain position where your thinking or your ideology is based on democracy? Is your standing based on socialism? See? Uh, there are shades of socialism, of course, and shades of socialism are on the extremes also. One extreme of socialism is communism. The other extreme is liberal socialism, where everybody owns everybody's property. Huh? That is liberal socialism. When we go to liberal socialism, uh, even education can be owned by unions, can be owned by associations. Okay, it cannot be owned by the government. It cannot be owned by private persons. It must be owned by the people. They always use the term people, people's republic, people's army, people's store, people's supply, something like this. Okay, and in socialism, it's according to its own needs. Huh? So why do you need a car when you are a farmer? Huh? Why do you need a car when you are only a carpenter? Each to his own needs. Okay? Maybe only the proletariat or the ruling class needs some kind of status. Okay? These are what are called the ideological practices, which also affects your perspective. What ideology do you belong? Do you belong to the free market ideology? And when you belong to the free market ideology, you practice materialism, you practice individualism, you practice competition, you practice Darwinism. What is Darwinism? Survival of the fittest. And that is socialism.
Competition.
It's still socialism, but it's already on the extreme. Survival of the fittest, meaning to say you can be a leader, okay? You can be rich, super rich, okay? Because the society allows it. The society gives you the opportunity. to become a leader. The society gives you the opportunity so that you will become rich. Because what is materialism? What is individualism? You cannot separate individualism from materialism. Okay? Can you separate individualism from materialism? You must have to be an individual. You must be someone who is different from the others, unique, different. And democracy allows that.
Yes, that's the price of
The
democracy.
price of democracy. Huh? Individualism and materialism. But among the Christians, they can always philosophize and justify materialism because it is the reward of your labor. And reward of your labor is granted by God. God provides you because you rendered the labor. If you do not render the labor, if you do not render your dedication, your energies, your industriousness, so forth and so on, you will not acquire wealth. Okay? Maybe some people acquire wealth because of inheritance, but it's very rare. Okay? It's very rare. And that is maybe uh, not permanent. Okay? It will not be permanent. Or any other question?
Hello, sir. Good morning po.
Yes.
Sir, going back to the question of Ma'am Charlotte a while ago, I can see perspective being influenced by religion, sir. Actually, our perspective to a certain situation depends on our religion. For me, I am a member of the Third Order of Franciscans. I'm a Catholic, sir. And it is
You
also,
are a Protestant,
no, sir, I'm a Catholic.
you're a Catholic.
Yes, sir. But I'm a member of the Franciscan seculars here in the Philippines. It is a third order of Franciscans, sir. From the father is Saint Francis of Assisi.
Yes, you see, you are already practicing discrimination, huh?
And sir, I just want to. I can
That is
relate, sir.
individualism. That is also
It is in.
individualism.
True.
It's also an individualism, sir. So it is third order, sir. So I can be we can also have different views, as I have said, based on our religion. So
Yeah.
but we have to respect others also. It is good if we can
Yes.
also share with them our views, our practices. But let's bear in mind that we have to respect each others also. So if we can convince them, it's better. As we conceive it as, for example, we know that it is what is good for us. We can share it to others. But if they do not accept it positively, it's okay. It's a matter of fraternal correction.
Yes.
That's what we practice in our fraternity. Sir. It's a religious fraternity. Wherein love also is being practiced. What we practice here is the simple way of life according to Saint Francis of Assisi, and that simplicity of living also encourages others to be a part of the organization or the of what we practice. I'm sorry, I was distracted. So this one, sir, as I see this perspective as being influenced by religion, and you have also shared us about Muslims, sir. And in our DepEd family, there are also some Muslims here in our place, sir. They were Christians before, but they were converted to Muslim because because they do not want to suffer from Magna Carta of public school teachers. They have most of them have two wives. And of course, if they are Christians, they can be charged from Magna Carta, from violation of Magna Carta public school teachers. So one of their perspectives is to switch from switch from Christianity to that Muslim. So they became Muslim in order for them not to be charged from that. So this time, my perspective, in my perspective, it's really it's really difficult for me to understand
Okay.
that before. But this time, sir, because of this session, I have gained knowledge. I have widened my sort of horizon. I have a broader idea now on how to mingle with this kind of people.
Yes, very
So thank you
good.
so much, sir.
Very good, Mary Jane. You have a very good perspective of understanding other people's views.
Thank you so much, sir.
However, if we go to the basics of perspectives of education or perspectives of philosophies, basic philosophies, there might be some questions again. In fact, our education is not a perfect system. We have so many questions to ask later on. Number one is you have mentioned at least two discriminating factors. Okay, number one, among you Christians, among Catholics, you still segregate yourself. You separate yourself from your brothers and sisters in Christ. Mean to say, you want to be another group. Okay, that is one way of discrimination. Another discrimination is that I realize that we have dual laws. Huh? One law is for the Christian and one law is for the Muslims. That is not good. That's very bad. We must have to reconcile that later on. Why uh, they are under another law and we are under another law. And yet we are all Filipinos. We are all Filipino citizens. But it was very good description of your perspective. It's good that you describe how you stand. Okay, because where you stand is very good in terms of perspective. Okay.
Thank you so much, sir. And I do hope that I will learn more from this session,
Yes.
from this class, sir, so that I will be able to eliminate these kinds of discrimination.
Well, there will always be discrimination as long as these are beneficial to everybody, beneficial to most most of the people. I said that there's nothing bad, there's nothing absolutely wrong, there's nothing absolutely right. Okay, we have our own perspectives, we have our own way of looking at ourselves, we have our own way of uh, describing ourselves and making us different from the others. Okay, we will end this lecture and you are given some kind of expository papers on how to prepare it. The descriptions are already there. Are described to you what is an expository paper. And that will be your first activity. The second activity will be your position paper. Your position paper, if there's no time, will be your final examinations. Already, it will be your final examination. Okay. Well, the way we assess you, there are so many kinds of assessments. Huh? Uh, it's not only pencil and paper test. Okay. We can assess you by your performance and others. Okay. And by the way you perform, you are already tested there because there are so many questions that you are going to answer. And the way you answer it is also being rated. And that is already a part of your pencil and paper test. for those who want to undergo the pencil and paper test,
Who would want? Who would want?
okay, I will prepare one maybe if you opt
Nobody wants.
for pencil and paper test. Now the next lessons that we are going to take are the basic the basic philosophies. And from these basic philosophies, we are going to take our education, where perspectives education is taken place, and where is the place of education in these philosophies. The four basic philosophies, or sometimes they call it the five philosophies, or sometimes they call it the seven philosophies. It depends upon the author, or the standing of the author, where he stands. Well, where the author stands, maybe he is only after the four philosophies, four basic, the four old philosophies. But there are modernizing philosophies, and there are philosophies which are emerging, and sometimes they call it the seven philosophies, and sometimes they call it the five philosophies. But for now, we will have the following. Okay, it's already in your paper. Idealism, realism, pragmatism, existentialism, and maybe the last will be postmodernism. Postmodernism is also related to, or sometimes referred to as reconstructivism, or the theory, critical theory. And the others are branches. So when you go to the seven, there are branches of idealism, branches of realism, and branches of pragmatism. Okay? And we are going to look at our educational perspective in accordance to this, philosophies. We have so many more to take. There are many more. We will touch more on philosophy, and later on psychology and sociology, because we have so many perspectives of education as far as where we stand. Where we stand as philosophers, or where we stand as sociologists, or where we stand as psychologists. Okay? So you must have to begin writing your expository paper already.
Yes.
Okay.
Doc.
Your expository paper, okay, must have to be individual. Individual. You will have also expository papers which are team. But most of the teamwork that you will do is position paper. Because in position paper, you must have to agree.
Yes, Doc.
Okay, you must have to agree. Because it is already a position. Expository is only a research. You must have to do some kind of research. You cannot do some expository paper if you are not going to do some research. You have your structure, you have your outline, you have your format. You must have to follow. If you are not going to follow, you must have your own format, and your format must be chronological, sequential, and logical. Okay?
Yes, Doc. But next Saturday will be the expository oral of Team 1, PH and TH, right?
Okay, very good.
Yes,
Very
Doc.
good. If there is already expository paper by a group, okay, I will be very appreciative of that, because I will have only to facilitate your learning. Your learning is yours. No learning will take place without you. Learning is you.
Yes.
Lazy man, lazy professor's way of Perspective of education.
Yes, sir. Yes, Doc. But you're still the fountain of knowledge.
Okay. So, Frederick, you took already attendance.
Yes po.
Okay. Can you send me some pictures
Yes, sir.
already?
Yes,
Can
sir.
you take pictures on the board?
Yes, sir. I
You
already I already took
okay.
the picture, sir.
Give me the pictures
And
also.
then I also recorded our session for today.
Very good. Very good. In
So,
our class, you remember Rene, Rani
Yes, Doc.
Milianes, Rani Milianes always record it in the YouTube. Do
yes, sir.
you-
Yes, sir. I will also uploaded it in YouTube.
Okay, he records our class in the YouTube.
Wow, we'll be
So,
live in YouTube.
so thank you very much for today. I am very much
Thank
Thank
you
you,
very much,
Doc.
satisfied.
Thank
Doc.
you
Thank
so
you,
much,
Doc.
Doc.
I'm
Thank you
very
Thank
po.
you.
happy.
Thank you so
Yes.
much
Thank
Remember,
you
po.
Thank you,
po.
Doc.
remember, the most important thing is that I'm inspired.
Thank you,
Yes,
Doc.
Doc.
I want
We're
you
the
to
same.
continue
Thank you,
inspiring.
Doc.
Thank you,
Yes,
Doc.
Doc.
Thank you,
Okay,
Very
Doc.
Doc.
good.
Thank
You
you very
po.
much.
Very
Bye.
Thank
much
you.
inspired.
Thank you,
So,
Doc.
thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Okay.
Thank you very much, Doc.
I forgot coffee.
Yeah, because you're so
I
inspired.
got my coffee and
Because you
bread.
are so much inspired, Doc, you forgot your coffee.
I forgot
Yeah.
already
So you're
cold.
extremely inspired that
Very cold.
your coffee has expired.
Oh, oh.
Bye
Cheers.
bye.
Cheers, Doc.
Cheers.
Thank you
Cheers.
very much.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye,
Thank
Doc.
you.
Thank you very
Bye. Bye,
much.
guys. Thank
Guys,
you
see
very
you
much, mga
later.
Doc.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye. I never knew that we can have coffee and make some cheers next time.
Thank you. Thank you. Sir Ronald, thank you for
Thank you.
coming.
I'm late. Let's
Yes,
say,
okay lang, sir.
let's say late better than never.
Yes po. Okay. Bye-bye, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Frederick. Thank you. Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Sir,
Yes, ma'am.
sir, pwede pong pasend po ng ano, outline po ng para sa expository paper,
Sige
sir.
po. Sige po.
Outline?
Sige po.
Ay, po, sir.
Nandiyan sa inyo, ha?
Yes, sir. I
Okay po,
will
sir.
I will send it
I
po.
requested already, Sir Frederick,
Okay
sir. Thank you
po.
so much po.
Bye-bye, ma'am.
Bye po, thank you, sir.
Organization and management.